opportunity to address the board for up to 3 minutes on any topic on a professional and respectful manner. Once you're recognized, please state your name and where you're from. Is there anyone in chambers wishing to share a public comment? Yeah, please come forward. Join us at the podium. The bottom of the mic, there's a little, you should see a button with like a person on it. That turns it on. There you go. Go ahead. Try again. There you go. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Kim Kimmy. I'm a resident of Richland Township in Kalamazoo County, and I'm a member of the current Kalamazoo County Fair Council. Today I'm in front of you as a parent of a child in the 4-H horse project, and I'm asking the board to set the date for the 2026 Kalamazoo County Fair as soon as possible. Ideally before the end of this month, so that 4-H horse project members don't lose their chance to show at the fair. In 2025, 14 kids from our club showed at the fair, at the showcase. Our club is the CC Riders. We bring 10 to 14 horses to the fair each year, and we perform a horse drill team demonstration on the Saturday for Family Day. All of the children in our club lease and use horses from East Fork Farms in Augusta. East Fork has been very supportive of 4-H. They paused their summer camp program for a full week in August so that our kids can take their horses to the fair. But they set their schedule for those summer camps in December. And once those dates are published, they can't be changed. If the dates for the 2026 fair are still unknown at the time that East Fork publishes their schedule, it's very possible that there will be a conflict between the fair and the summer camp dates. And that would mean that horses would not be available for us to use, and our 4-H kids would not be able to participate. Aside from disappointed kids, it also means that 10 to 14 fewer horses would be at the fairgrounds, and there would be no CC Rider drill team performance. You'd also have a loss of about 100 hours of volunteer time from our families. For this reason, I'm asking that you consider a proposal from the Fair Council that will be put in front of you this afternoon to set the date for the 2026 Kalamazoo County Fair so that East Fork and our families can plan for the coming year. Additionally, as a member of the Fair Council, I do want to offer my support of changing the format of that group, dissolving our council and replacing it with a working group that can make decisions and can act a little quicker than what currently happens. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Good afternoon.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Coburn. I live in the Galesburg community. I'm in Kalamazoo County, and I am here asking the board to please set dates for the 2026 Kalamazoo County Fair as soon as possible, and please ideally before the end of the month. Kalamazoo County, I am here representing the 4-H project, specifically the Horse Leaders Council, and I also represent a club as I am a co-leader. All livestock have to hire judges, and I don't specifically know about other species, but I do know for horses, we normally try to have all of our judges hired by the end of November. Last year, we ended up not being able to find some and hire until mid-January, and it became very problematic and nearly impossible to find judges at that point. So it is crucial not only for horses, but I'm sure also other livestock that we have dates as soon as possible so we can begin finding the judges. The dates recommended by the, as previously stated, there has been dates recommended by the Fair Council. The dates recommended by the Fair Council is what we are here to request that you approve. Horses are different than any other species in that the second week of August, we go to MSU for a state competition. The kids earn points throughout fair, and those points help give them eligibility to be able to show at the state fair, the state horse show. Horses have to be at fair from Sunday to Saturday, and in that range. If you chose the second week of August, then many of the horse kids would not be able to attend the full fair, and they would have to leave in order to go be able to show at the state horse show, which they earned points for last year. In 2026, that could mean if they have to leave halfway through fair, they're not eligible to go to state the following year because they weren't there for the whole fair and they lost out on points. We all understand that the carnival is a focus and we understand working towards that. Our hope is that you will try to put it on the back burner so we could figure it out for 2027, so we could have the dates to hire judges and see our kids can figure out eligibility with the state. The kids in our club specifically are concerned about the fair overlapping the state show and losing out on their points. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Rebecca. Is there anyone else? Yep, go ahead. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Pam Van Dongen. I live in Galesburg, from Kalamazoo County. You're going to see kind of a theme here. I'm again from the Kalamazoo County 4-H Horse Council. We're a very tight community. We all work really well together. We're here to support our kids. A few years ago, when COVID happened, and we lost some opportunities at the fair to have a carnival, things kind of changed for us, but you may have noticed that 4-H stayed strong. Our kids continued to show. We do whatever we need to get those kids together and to be down there and to show their species, their projects. When I was a kid, and it continues now, I've been a leader for over 20 years. And I showed in 4-H when I was a kid. So I have 35 years of 4-H experience. And going to the fair as a kid and continuing now, it's the best week of the year for our kids. My daughters who showed in 4-H and my son who wasn't a 4-H'er, but he tagged along. Everybody agreed it was the most fun week of the year. And our kids, it's very important to them. It's very social, but it's a great opportunity for them. And I would say I don't think you'll see my 4-H kids in jail. So it's a good learning experience. It's a good positive. We provide a lot of positive role modeling and experiences for these kids. We really need to get the dates of our fair figured out. I'm the one who's responsible for hiring the judges for the horse project. You heard Becca talk about that, and Kim. And it is increasingly difficult every year. Judges are harder and harder to come by, and we want to get the best judges available for our kids. We want to give them the best opportunity. The show circuit that I show for already has all of their judges for the whole year. So we're competing against other circuits, and it's really hard for us to find those judges. So I would just ask maybe that you could consider that when you vote on the dates of August 2 through 8 or 9. To give us our opportunity for the fair. The carnival is fun, and it would be a bonus. Our kids, we talked about it at our last meeting, our kids would love to have a carnival again, but it's not the most important thing to them. The most important thing is being there, being part of that community, and having their livestock down there. The state show is August 13 to 16, and yes, like Becca said, kids do have to leave the fair if we have it during that week. So we do ask that we have the first full week of August, which is the 2nd through the 8th or 9th. The Fair Council, I attended a meeting last week of the Fair Council, and I'm not on the Fair Council, but I did attend. And they recommended that we terminate or abolish or discontinue the Fair Council and start using more of a organizing or working group. And I think that would be great because we can get more voices and more opportunity for organizing the fair, making it a better opportunity for our kids. Anyway, I think that's about it. So thank you so very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your comments. We appreciate your time, Pam. Is there anyone else wishing to share public comment? Please come forward. Good afternoon, welcome.
Okay, this thing is on, right?
It's already on.
I,
Yep.
I have trouble with this. All right. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Julie Stolsky. I am current president of the Fair Advisory Board, and I'll keep it short and sweet because I think you've heard the same message over and over again. First off, I just want to say thank you to the county commissioners for supporting 4-H and MSU Extension and our park and recs and giving us some money to do our fair. And I think our board is excited for our future and where we get to go. We know we have a lot of work to do, but we're excited to partner with the Park and Recs and MSU Extension and get things figured out. And as they said, our board did vote, and we want to recommend the 2nd through the 8th for the fair. We're working on getting a carnival. It doesn't happen overnight. And so we've got other things in the works as well. So we hope you continue your support for us. It's very important what we do, and it's important to the kids and the celebration and education of agriculture. So just want to say thank you and introduce myself. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Julie. Is there anyone else? Good afternoon.
Hi, my name is Christina Chase, and I'm from Richland, Kalamazoo County. I'm the new president of 4-H Leaders Council, and I just wanted to kind of voice my opinion on the fair board, and that for years I've sat on the council and I have listened to, we don't have a quorum. We couldn't vote on this. And I think it's a good idea to move in the direction of an interacting action club where more people can participate. Obviously, you have a lot of 4-H people that are willing to participate in that. So listening to year after year, we don't have a quorum. You can't move forward on that. So kind of having an interaction, I think, is more appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you as well. Thanks, Christina. Is there anyone else wishing to make public comment? Welcome.
Hi, thank you. My name is Beth Berglund, and I live in Kalamazoo. Not talking about the fair. I'm the Director of Policy and Strategy at the Michigan Transformation Collective, and for the past year, we've facilitated the countywide Child Care Coalition. Formed in November of 24, we're the Kalamazoo County table of the Southwest Michigan Child Care Coalition, and we're also a work group of the Kalamazoo Blueprint for Peace, addressing the need for improving childcare access for families with children 0 to 3. We believe the childcare industry is a broken system and that parents can't afford the higher fees. Teachers' undervalued labor forces them out. We believe childcare should be a profession that ensures a good quality of life for all staff, recognizing that when childcare works, the whole community benefits. Childcare as an industry is arguably a public good, and has been and continues to be the invisible and silent foundation of our economy and workforce. But it's never been supported like other industries, as small businesses, as educators, as a community service, or as a driver of economic development. Having spent 5 years working in childcare, I personally experienced the wages that continue to hold the industry back. When we talk about cuts to SNAP and Medicaid, we're talking about cuts to programs that childcare workers rely on to feed and keep their children healthy. Because the wages in the industry are so low that 29% of the childcare teachers in Southwest Michigan experienced food insecurity year-round, and over 50% are enrolled in at least one public benefit program. In the last 20 years, since I've been in the classroom, I've heard hundreds of stories from parents and teachers. The national, state, and local data back up everything we're hearing at the local level. Wages matter, and the low wages cause teacher shortages, reducing available childcare slots. Teachers serving low-income families earn on average $17 an hour less than kindergarten teachers, despite needing 97% of the same skills. In Kalamazoo County, 0 to 3 teachers earn less than $14.50 an hour, near the rising minimum wage. Childcare should not be minimum wage work, given its impact on children and the economy. When childcare works, employees show up to their jobs, and when it's high quality, it supports cognitive, social, and emotional growth during the most critical years of brain development. Though the system is fundamentally broken, we have a local opportunity for impact. The state is investing $1.6 million in an 18-month wage pilot, which is going to offer $300 monthly to full-time teachers and $200 for part-time teachers. But fewer than 30 of Kalamazoo County's over 800 teachers are going to be able to benefit. These resources will allow us, additional resources would allow us to use the established pilot mechanism without having to create a new program. And we would ask you to consider the county's role in supporting persistent concerns across social services and how Kalamazoo County could lead and make Kalamazoo County a place where K-12 college access and our youngest learners and their caregivers are supported. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Do we have anyone else? Administrator, is there anyone online? Thank you. Okay. With that, we're going to end our public comment period. We're going to move forward to our next item, which is our review of accounts payable and payroll disbursements. We'll welcome forward our finance director, Ryan Post. Oh, he's got a sub in this afternoon. Welcome. You got it.
Thank you, everyone.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair Pro Tem, and Board of Commissioners. Tonight we have an accounts payable claims list totaling $3,081,945.95, which is presented for review. Of this total, the Board of Commissioners is asked to approve claims totaling $2,837,084.31. Payroll disbursements totaling $4,594,306.07 are presented for the November 7th general and November 14th elected payrolls. That being said, we welcome any questions from the Board of Commissioners.
We're just going to pepper you with tons of questions. Does anyone have any questions?
All right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, welcome.
Have a good evening. And we'll go on to our next item. Yes, let me say it the right way. So we're going to look at our monthly financial report. Take it away.
All right. Moving on to the monthly financial statements for October 25. This is presented this evening with various comments for the Board of Commissioners to review, with the financials themselves being presented. With that being said, I'd like to open it up for questions on the October 25 statement.
Questions or comments? Vice Chair.
Just two comments. One, I appreciate it on these monthly financial statements. By comparison, you've been putting in previous years at what point they were, so I don't have to look that back up again. I appreciate that. My second comment is to the board. We've got, as I've stated before, the transfers in and transfers out. I like to take those out before I put the percentages in, because the transfers out are always happen on January 1st. The transfer in happen at the end of the year. But if you look at where we are with our expenditures, we are at expenditures. Yeah, we're at 78.43%. Last year at this time, we were at 82.33. On the revenue side, we're at 85.51. Last year at this time, we're at 73.12. Our revenues are up from last year compared to where we're budgeted. Our expenditures are down from last year compared to where we're budgeted. And we had a $10 million surplus last year. So just put that out there, and that is my comment. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Vice Chair. And I know, through the budget process, we're going to work as a board, particularly those with skill and interest, and deepening the line item understanding through that process. But we really worked, in collaboration with finance and administration to identify, where we can look at what we've budgeted for expenditures, particularly on unfilled positions, and really, true up sort of what we're doing within the budget process to accurately reflect, because we want to be able to meaningfully plan with the dollars that we have available to impact the community. So that's been an ongoing process that we're improving, and I think we continue to be, responsible fiscal stewards for the community. So thank you for that. All right, now you're totally off.
All right. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Okay. Next, we're going to bring up for our monthly investment report, we'll welcome forward Chief Deputy Treasurer Tyler White. Welcome, Chief Deputy.
Thank you, Chair. All right, well, as of October 31st, the county's investment portfolio had a par value balance of $171,090,063.65 and a market value of $170,829,826.75. The mark-to-market variance between our par and market values is $260,236.90. That's an improvement from September of $54,683.49. So market value is still below par value, but it is improving as interest rates are cut. Some of our higher interest rate options that we locked in starting to bear out there. Like every month, as a reminder, our mark-to-market variance only impacts our bottom line if we were to liquidate our portfolio. Our strategy is to hold assets until maturity to avoid any losses. As always, please don't liquidate the portfolio. For the month of October, our portfolio earned $630,791.28 on an average daily balance of $184,883,375.51. That's an effective rate of return on our investments of 4.02%. It's inclusive of all realized gains, losses, amortization of premium and discounts. And of these $630,000 that we earned, $414,461.58 relates to the general fund and budget stabilization investment pools. For the year, our portfolio has earned $6,001,582.48 on an average daily balance of $164,609,019.25. That's an effective rate of return on our investments of 4.38% for the year. Just like monthly reporting, it's inclusive of all realized gains, losses, amortization of premiums, discounts. And of the $6 million we've earned through October, $3,635,464.94 relates to the general fund, $56,668 relates to the budget stabilization investment pools. That said, roughly $3.7 million of the $6 we've earned is for the general fund. If we assume November and December follow the same track as the last 10 months, we're on track to earn $7.2 million during 2025. For inflation, courtesy of the federal government shutdown, we don't have inflation data for October. We do have September's inflation numbers. I'm going to provide those for a little bit of context of where we stand. But we won't be getting October inflation data. The next time we'll get any of this updates is for November. This will be reported sometime in December. So through September, the year-to-date inflation was 3%, up from 2.9% in August. Our 4.02% rate of return does exceed inflation. We experience a 1.02% net gain in purchasing power based on September's data. And this is spread across the following categories. Food up 3.1%, energy commodities or fuel down 0.4%, energy services or utilities up 6.4%, of which electricity is up 5.1%, gas is up 11.7%, shelters up 3.6%, transportation services up 2.5%, medical services up 3.9%, and other commodities, so vehicles, apparel, medical commodities, up 1.5%. I'd be happy to take any questions y'all might have.
Any questions from commissioners? I'm seeing none this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
Okay. All right. We're going to move next to item 6 and undertake a presentation and discussion of the draft housing framework. So I'd like to welcome forward our Housing Department Director, Mary Balkema, and Deputy Director, Willa DiToronto. I did. I've got that name down now. Welcome.
There we go.
Good evening, Honorable Chair, Vice Chair, Board of Commissioners. My name is Mary Balkema. I stand before you as the Housing Director. to talk about our housing draft framework. Dr. Catlin sent it out a few weeks ago to everyone. I trust that you have it and that you have read it.
Sorry. Sorry. There we go.
See, I never would have figured that out. Good
I
thing,
know. It's all right. So why is this showing? Okay. There we go. You should be able to advance. Get you guys on that.
Calling it back up.
It's on their screen. All right, I'll go in there.
Okay.
So Chair, what is the draft housing framework? It's high level. It's a blueprint for aligning resources, partners, and strategies across a full housing continuum from emergency shelter to affordable home ownership into one coordinated data-driven system. This is a draft. It's a working document that has had several iterations and will continue to develop as we get more feedback. A little bit of background information. For almost 2 years of cross-sector collaboration with Kalamazoo County Administration and Housing, the City of Kalamazoo, the City of Portage, United Way, the Continuum of Care, Southwest Michigan First, Kalamazoo Gospel Ministries, and Ministry with Community. We've been meeting for almost 2 years to address the very serious issue of homelessness and housing in Kalamazoo County. The framework that was sent out to you is really a vision and a way for us to dream big that what could we do if we had the appropriate funding. The framework is an outline, it is not a comprehensive plan. We've created many opportunities for questions and for feedback. We met at the Expo Center in August with many of our nonprofits. The ones who could not attend, we had one-on-one meetings with. Southwest Michigan First convened members of the business community in September. We had a very lively meeting. We also went back at the chamber meeting and addressed that group again. Administration of Housing have met with many stakeholders one-on-one. What have we heard? We've heard a lot of positivity and a lot of good energy. I also made a presentation to all the group of funders, and they were really grateful that the county was taking the lead. Most feedback has been the need to provide more details, name providers, services, etc. Areas where clarification is needed. The county does not want to do the work. We want to fund the work. There's a difference. We also want to outline clear definitions, minimize jargon, and ensure that we're all speaking the same language. Why now? First of all, community awareness surrounding the issues facing the unhoused is high, and there's been a clear call to action. Housing costs are rising faster than wages. More households than ever are housing burdened. That means they're paying more than 30% of their gross on principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, or they are rent burdened with rent and utilities. Decades of underinvestment stemming from before the Great Recession have really created a fragmented response to the issue. So this framework really represents a shift from reactive crisis management that counties and cities and folks are used to doing to really proactive, data-informed, systems-level approach to the housing issues facing us today. Why was Kalamazoo County picked to be the leader? First of all, the county has stable leadership, and the county has all positions at the top in place for the first time in many, many years. And really, a lot of folks in our community look to the county and the strong leadership that this commission not only has provided, but also in our administrative team. Another reason, nonprofits come and go with funding, but our county will be here in perpetuity. We have built-in transparency, accountability, and fiscal responsibility. I think those are three things that this commission has championed over and over and over again. And as you can see, there's an opportunity twice a month to come before this board and state whatever is on your heart to inform policy decisions that this board takes seriously. I think the county board is known as a collaborator and a convener on important issues in our community. And it's already within the scope of what the county is doing. Housing touches many things. It touches community health, it touches public safety, it touches emergency management, and it touches planning, all things which are under your purview. We obviously have a housing millage, and we've learned many things in our short life. The voters approved the housing millage in 2020. We have funded projects and programs across the full housing continuum. We've allocated over $33 million into projects over 4 funding rounds. We've supported 17 nonprofit organizations. We funded critical home repair with over 250 owner-occupied homes. We have funded over 1,492 units, of which 74% are under construction or already occupied. This is 50% of the 2,500 total units that have been permitted countywide since the release of the 2022 WE UpGen housing study. So we're proud of that, and we have many, many units going up right now. We're uniquely positioned that has uniquely positioned the county to get a sense of pressure points, bottlenecks, and gaps in our current ecosystem, especially if you look at housing as an ecosystem.
And so I stuck in this lovely graphic that I can't get enough of. It's something that I like to look back at all the time because it really does show the various types of housing that we have and the ways that an individual or household can move throughout that continuum. And the county, with our housing millage, has funded things throughout this continuum, as was mentioned, all the way from homelessness through affordable home ownership. And so we see how those various organizations that are funded can work together, have worked together, and ways where that can, where improvements could be made, and how they collaborate as well.
So we sent out the draft framework to everyone. If you've read it, I thank you for reading it. If you haven't, it's kind of an overview. It talks about coordinated leadership. The County and Housing Department will anchor efforts with 2 divisions and strategic partnerships with the Kalamazoo County Land Bank and the Continuum of Care, 2 natural partnerships. It will be innovative, data informed. What is a true need and how do we really address it? It will be the full continuum from homelessness response really all the way to home ownership. And it will really shift the mindset from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. How do we make sure our stakeholders are funded well enough to do what they do best? And so we're not all clawing at the food trough for resources. So that's what happens a lot. We have the scarcity mindset, but really, if we had the abundance mindset, how could we do things in abundance for our community, for those who are vulnerable and are struggling?
And it also does look at this as a whole system. So rather than when you think of this as a system, instead of looking at something that's going wrong as the failure of an individual nonprofit or person, this is the failure of our system to be able to address that need right now. And so how do we make sure that everybody is properly supported to be doing the work that needs to be done for the system to work the way it's supposed to work?
So we have proposed this organizational structure. So the county housing will be anchored by 2 divisions, a supportive housing division and a housing development authority. We have more about the housing development authority to come to you in December. We're excited about that work as well. And we'll continue with our strategic partnerships, the land bank partnership, with a home ownership pipeline, infill development, housing rehab stabilization. They're the ones obviously that own most of the vacant lots, especially in the city of Kalamazoo. And also the Continuum of Care, which is housed at the United Way, which administers HUD and MSHDA funds, coordinated entry for many of our housing programs. Here is the proposing housing ecosystem inputs and outputs. I think that was put on your dais because it's hard to read. If not, we can print one out because I don't expect you to read this.
I think that anything is in green is a money source. And one thing that we've heard throughout our interactions with various stakeholders is a little bit of confusion because we have federal and state dollars coming in through various sectors, and that is natural. That happens a lot of times. We're not trying to
redirect any funding or take away anybody's funding that they already have. We just want to make sure that we are going after every single piece of state and federal dollars that we would be eligible for, which right now isn't necessarily happening because of capacity issues.
So what are some strategic tools and investment needs? Shelter and intake facilities. We have some capital project needs. We have operation and program support needs, shelter diversion, shelter operations, transitional and permanent supportive housing wraparound services. We need a comprehensive data management system. Right now, folks don't know who's in the system, the HMIS system. Not everybody uses it and talks to us. Our largest provider, Kalamazoo Gospel Ministries, uses a different system. So it's really fragmented. We need an accelerator fund for more housing development, a county voucher program. We know that when we use vouchers, our own money with our own programs like the Mount Zion Hollander project on the north side, we can really keep it affordable for folks that want to live and retire in their neighborhood. And more need is direct housing assistance, emergency rental assistance, and then down payment assistance and affordable mortgage products. In the framework, there's cross-cutting strategies, equity, inclusion, and sustainability as our guiding principles, data-driven decision-making rather than just winging it, accountability, transparency, and of course, community engagement, and then public and private partnerships.
Public, private, non-partner, or non-profit, quasi-governmental partnerships, that's all encompassing there.
Here's part of the framework in action, the landing place. You were an early leader in this, and it's really something to be proud of in the entire state. Obviously, it's the largest transitional family. We were at a housing meeting in Region J yesterday with all of our surrounding counties, and many people are really jealous of, how did you do it, right? It does take a lot of work and a lot of leadership, and so we're proud of what this board has done, and we humbly thank you for it.
But really, this is a way that the county board recognized a gap in service delivery that we had in our county and decided to figure out a solution to that. We purchased a building, we're renovating the building. We know we are not experts in direct service delivery, and so we've partnered with an organization to do the direct everyday service on a 3-year basis so that they're not scrambling for funding every single year, so they can staff up, they know what their budget looks like for 3 years at least running. It offers a lot of stability, and it allows the people who are professionals and are doing the work to do the work rather than spend their time fundraising to do the work.
So what are our next steps? Our next steps are to secure funding and our aligned funding sources for initiatives identified in the framework. Turn the draft into a strategic and implementation plan with updated timeline and measurable outcomes. So that piece will also get a lot of community input, and we will pay someone to do that, and all of that feedback then will come back to the governing board. So that piece is really, really important, but in order to get that piece, you have to have a high level framework in order to get that piece done. So we're at this high level piece, right? That next piece will come and will encompass everything that I can see that is turning in your brains what you really want on a real data-driven granular plan. So that is coming. We'll have widespread community engagement, asset mapping, and any other thing that is under the purview of this board. So I'd like to thank you for the time that you've given us, and we will entertain any questions, Chair.
Thank you, Director. So I just, I want to begin as we open discussion with commissioners. I view this framework as really a transformational opportunity for the community. What we have roughed out as a general framework is the skeleton of what is to come. Provides an opportunity where we can really drive growth. What we've been doing so far with the housing millage, which has been very successful and we should be proud of, is really dependent a lot on market conditions and nonprofit capacity. And over in some of when you dig into the housing applications, The struggle is about building that it's called that capital stack to get the resources you need to move to construction. We funded a lot of nonprofits, but we watched fewer nonprofits come forward in later funding cycles because they're at capacity for what they could do, right? So I want my colleagues also to know that I've been, in ongoing dialogue. I think that our housing department and administrative team, I appreciate their patience with my with my questions, which I often have lots of them. But we've had, stakeholder discussions with leaders from both the land bank and the COC, the business meeting that was held with Southwest First. I helped to review feedback that came in from our nonprofit partners, and we're continuing, we all should continue to have these dialogues with community members as we launch into what do the rest of the meat and potatoes look like to what we have coming forward. So I'll just start that there. I think community should know that we're deeply invested as a board, and they will be essential component into developing how we go to implementation. But let me open it up for thoughts, feedback, and discussion. Commissioner Gisler.
Thank you, Chair. And let me apologize to my fellow board members for being tardy today. Trains do cross Sprinkle Road every now and then. What can I do? Question, Mary and Willa. I'm glad to know that this is in a formative phase and nothing has been done of a permanent nature, because I didn't see, maybe I missed it, any involvement from the 15 townships and the villages and cities that lie in those 15 townships, which frankly account for 52% of the population of the county. Did I miss it, or is that still in process?
That's definitely still in process. I attend every township supervisors meeting, and we've been filling them in on bits and pieces of this, and we do plan on presenting the framework at one point in time. We've taken a lot of their time on their agendas recently with a lot of different housing initiatives, and so we absolutely do want to bring them along with us and are looking for.
You won't go much further than you are now in terms of developing the framework until you've got 52% of the population represented.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gisler, we didn't want to get ahead of our skis. We wanted to address it to our governing board first, and then get your high-level blessing so we could go forth with marching orders. Because if we do it the opposite way around, it doesn't generally work well.
And I think there have been some ongoing discussions, when we're, housing and planning recently. We're at Cooper Township talking with township officials about like land use policy and really driving some of the overall concepts that we're talking about here, how to really increase and work collaboratively together. And you can hear a lot of support for the initiatives and the recognition that, and you hear over and over in these sessions about people really excited to see the county stepping forward into some leadership and direction in the community. And so I think we're at a point to really build on that momentum here. So I think that'll be good. Vice Chair?
Yeah, thank you very much for your work on this. Again, you've said it in your report, we're here because wages have not kept up with inflation of housing, and it's the national trend. It's the same here in Kalamazoo County. I like the chair's phrase that this is a transformational opportunity, because it is. It's an absolute framework to really have a holistic view on how we look at housing, and data driven, so that we can make sure that we're receiving the best bang for your buck. I love the idea of this from a high level view. But the next piece is where the rubber meets the road, and that's where a lot of the I's and T's are dotted and crossed, as Commissioner Gisler alluded to. And I'm happy to take part in that, or as those get worked, specifically the benchmarks and the metrics. and how we identify whether or not what we're doing is working, what avenues are working and what avenues aren't, so that we can be flexible and then be able to adjust. I think the ability, and that's why I like this plan, it kind of affords us the opportunity to self-assess and reevaluate at different stages as you go through that. So as far as the high level view of it, I'm in complete support, and I look forward to the next piece.
Thank you.
Commissioner Morales.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Director Balkma and Willa, for your presentation. As you know, I went through the document. I appreciate sitting down with Director Balkma and Lindy and Interim Director Lentz about this document. So I did have some concerns. I have some pros and cons. As Commissioner Gisler mentioned, I was a little worried about others not being inclusive in this and just a select few sitting at the table, as folks are aware of. But, you know, I don't discredit the work. It takes a lot of work to do this. I don't know what I don't know, but I do know that we need to be inclusive in this and take all in it, first be accountable, but then include everyone from 30 to 80%. And I really want to focus on the 30 to 50 percenters, because that's going to be where we're going to have some deep trouble. Like, this is a beautiful document, but even now with 30 to 50%, when we try to get them into single family homes, that's where we have the most difficulty because they can't afford it. So as we move forward and get, you know, high level partners to help fund this and keep it going, that's what my expectation is going to be, so that in 20 years, the 30 to 50 percenters won't be left out. So thank you for your hard work. Thank you for absorbing, you know, my comments. We can grow together with this, but I think this is an excellent opportunity to show not only Michigan, but, you know, go nationwide with what we're doing with housing in Kalamazoo County. So thank you.
Commissioner Gisler.
Thank you, Chair, for humoring me. I know that all of you know that I'm a real sucker for Flash, and I really love that chart, Philip. Thank you.
I love a good graphic too. So,
Commissioner Ray.
Thank you, Chair. Director Balkma and I had some conversations around this as well already, and she answered a lot of my questions. So this is a great high-level framework, so thank you for working on this and putting it together. As Commissioner Morales stated, one of my concerns is just the missing parts of that 0 to 50% AMI. And for me, I would like to see that named in there, and not just like once we get down and start working on, you know, implementation, then we'll add those missing components. I also saw racial equity, but there weren't any benchmarks or anything. I don't want to see that weaken either. So I can wait, I guess, for the implementation and strategy to see how that is going to be strengthened and carried out throughout the plan. Another thing for me too, when we talk about redevelopment in some of these historically Black neighborhoods, I like to see us talk about some of these, some ways to make sure people are not getting displaced because taxes are going up or rent is too high and just different things like that. So folks are able to stay in the neighborhoods and enjoy the redevelopment and not just, you know, be gentrified and pushed out. And then I had a question about the database. So is this gonna like work with HMIS, or is this gonna replace HMIS?
It would have to feed into HMIS, because there are things that the federal government wants to see through the HMIS systems, but there's also, I mean, there's lots of shortfalls with those systems, and so building out something that can include all of the information and data that we're interested in seeing and is usable by all of the various stakeholders in our system, rather than just the ones who are receiving funding through HUD and MSHDA. I think we can certainly do that. Other municipalities have built out their own systems previously.
Okay, so essentially, when I was reading, it sounded like we'd have this database and then HMIS would still exist, and then a continuum of care would enter the data into the HMIS.
You can automate that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Commissioner Morales.
Thank you. And last thing, and we could talk about this later, but as the middle class begins to get pinched and neighborhoods begin to see that increase of that 5% of, their taxes increasing every year. I saw the voucher programs. I just want to get a little more information on how we would be able to help maybe a family of three that their taxes have went 5%, for the last 3 years, which would probably be about $800 increase, and how we would be able to help those families and not be judgmental of their salary, as we know that doesn't equal wealth. So I like to dig into that. So, and want to support 0 through 50, want to support 30 through 80, but I also, that group in the middle that are paying the highest taxes are struggling, and I want to find ways to give them some type of relief, because through MSHDA, HUD, SNAP, they don't qualify for any of, those additional benefits outside of maybe, going to a pantry, but nothing where it would support that dollar amount going in their hand to help with their bills. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think, this, we're at these initial phases of the, public sort of board dialogue here. And I think, our housing department will continue to hear clearly from this commission about priorities, and they're working to advance those. It'll be, I think, on each of us to make sure that we keep community engaged in the process when we move into strategic planning, bringing those voices to the table to make sure that they're having the impact on that long-term framework for us. I think two other things I want to highlight that I'm really excited about as potentials in the framework and as we build out the design is that local vouchering program. I think, many folks on the margins who have received state and federal, voucher funds, there are some real weaknesses in the way those programs are designed. You make $1 too much and all of your support is cut out from under you, and that really hamstrings families. People literally make the choice not to take the promotion because they literally cannot afford it, and it side rails their career trajectory and all sorts of impacts. So we can evaluate those weaknesses in those types of programs and design something homegrown in Kalamazoo that just does it better for people, more humanely and more effectively, with support as the intention rather than judgment as it. The other is through the development so we've sort of changed the housing development unit within the Housing Development Authority, is where right now what we're doing is granting money to developers, and we get a commitment from them for however, 15 years or 20 years for some of the units are going to be affordable. When we move forward with an authority and we're loaning the money instead, we become a part owner, a stakeholder in the development. We have equity in the game, and we have the ability then to influence affordability into perpetuity for these construction projects. That's super exciting. Yeah. You got something, Vice Chair?
Yeah, that just kind of spurred what you were saying. And what it does is when we are going to these developers, we're taking 10%. If we're, say, 50% owner of this equity, we're taking 10% off their profit or off the margins right off the bat. So we no longer have to subsidize a 20% profit margin. So I do like that, and especially with the vouchers, if it's done well and we have a sliding scale and we're building towards self-sufficiency, that's why I loved your model where it kind of showed how do you get into market rate homes, how do you move up that ladder, and building towards self-sufficiency. I think it's so much cheaper and more humane in the long run. So yeah, good observation, Chair.
Director.
Chair, we're coming back the first meeting in December with hopefully your approval of the interlocal agreement. So we are super excited about that. We've been working on that for 1.5 years, and we are ready for that to happen too. So we're kind of lining up our meetings, but thanks for queuing that up because we will be back.
I look forward to digging through the details there, Director. All right, anything else from commissioners? Okay, so it's a start, an important start. We've been in the dialogue, but this is sort of the launch out where we'll move into more of a strategic planning phase. Thank you to our experts in the housing department for the work and the ongoing support from administration as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, I'm going to take us to item number 7, 2026 Kalamazoo County Fair update. I want to welcome forward Parks and Expo Center Director Dave Rakowitz. Welcome, Director.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. I'm here tonight to give you an update on the county fair and fill you in on what's happened since we got some pretty good direction from the Board of Commissioners and sort of share with you where we're at and where we're headed. And also tonight, we're hoping to get some additional feedback or direction from this board in a couple different areas. The first thing I'll mention is following the October 21st meeting, we've had 3 other public meetings, two by the Kalamazoo County Fair Council and 1 by the Parks Commission. So those are both advisory boards appointed by this group that have had the opportunity to sort of review the strategic plan, have a conversation, and then weigh in on the direction that was provided by the Board of Commissioners. So the first update I'll give you is that on October 21st, we were directed to seek an RFP for an organization to implement the 2026 Kalamazoo County Fair. So at its meeting on October 22nd, the Fair Council had a very productive conversation about that discussion, and they really went through various different options of how the fair could be organized and planned, and there was consensus in that group to make a recommendation back to this body to consider an option that is asking the County Parks and Expo Center Department to take the lead. So that would entail us hiring a fair coordinator, some part-time seasonal staff, the support staff to do that. That does not close the door to the ongoing conversation with some community partners about other options that may exist in the future. What it does do is give more certainty for 2026, 2027 versus going out to bid and potentially not getting any bids back and then starting this sort of ball rolling downhill that it's hard to understand that it's, the fair's in August, but it'll be here before we know it. And there's lots of